Come on. Time to go, girls.
White Oak Pastures is my family farm for almost 6 generations. The 3 ruminant animals that we produce here are cows, sheep, and goats. We are in the business of raising sheep, turning it into lamb, and selling it to consumers. We started the first experiment of grazing under solar. It so happens that the sheep work very, very well on the panels. We're grazing 2,000 acres. It's bringing life back to the soil.
We're in Arlington, Georgia at this 480-acre solar site. We're about to move a group of sheep. Depending on how much they've eaten, we'll move them every other day or every third day. It's Oli, come here. This is Cannoli, and this is actually his son, Scooter. They naturally understand the concept of herding. You really can't ask for like a better coworker. Come on! They're basically just bunching up the sheep and starting to push them towards me. Oli, come by! Hey, no, come by. Good boy, come by.
There has been a real stigma involved in taking the land out of agricultural production and putting it in solar power production. The use of livestock to control vegetation removes a lot of that trepidation.
They're really the only livestock that can actually graze under the panels. Cows are obviously too big, and goats would climb all over everything and chew on the wires. The sheep are very docile. They're the right size to fit underneath the panels. This flock is about 400 ewes. There's 30 breed rams in there, and they're almost all Katahdins, which is a hair sheep, so we don't have to shear them. They just naturally shed their wool, which is ideal because it gets very hot and very humid here in South Georgia. The solar panels keep going up. So if that's gonna be the case, let's get agriculture involved as much as possible.
We actually offer vegetation management services to Silicon Ranch, which is a large solar voltaic company. We're currently grazing 3 different facilities, probably over 1,000 acres now. I farmed industrially for 20 years. For the last 25 years, I've been growing grass to graze cattle on. It's a completely different concept. It involves constant animal movement.
The rotational grazing concept, primarily managing your pasture health. You know, your animals are only going to be as healthy as your soil and your pastures are. So with the mowers alone, you're not really going to see the kind of erosion control impact that the sheep have. So by moving them frequently, you are not overgrazing any particular species. You know, they're out here trampling seed into the ground, they're defecating all over the place. You're reducing your parasite loads on the sheep as well. Oli, away, away, away. Cannoli, lie down. Stay there, stay. All right, now we just let them find their new paddock.
All the cycles of nature are supposed to operate seamlessly and perpetually in a circular motion.
So they have a nice diversity of different forages in here to eat, and they actually will like learn from their moms what they can eat or should not eat. Basically anything that's a year or less would be considered lamb. After that, it would go into the mutton category. It's a little less lean and the flavor profile is stronger. And so all of the females we keep to grow the flock. All of the boys will get moved across the road where we have all of our rams, and that's where they kind of grow out and finish before they become lamb chops.
That's the cows that they've killed for today, and then that's the lamb we're actually going to be doing today.
Lamb consumption in this country is only about a pound of lamb per person per year. Beef is almost 40 pounds per person per year.
We'll count up 5 ribs. So right in here between the 5th and 6th is where I'm gonna run the lamb right through the saw blade to take the whole front off. Then I flip it over and I'll take the back legs off. Then that'll leave you the 3 sections. And then you start breaking them down a little bit more into what you can cut for retail.
I'm very interested myself in the history of lamb production and how it went from a really prevalent protein source in this country to a very minor protein source.
So you'll have your 2 lamb loins, which they'll either sell them whole like this, or they'll cut actual lamb loin chops out of them. You'll sell them as the rib rack, or you'll cut them into the rib chops. And then this piece right here is what they sell as the Denver rib. Most popular lamb cut is either probably gonna be your chops or sometimes your loins. So now the next step is the legs. Then we'll go to the last part that I break down. I'm gonna cut the neck off, and then I'm gonna split it right down the middle. So you have your shoulder, your leg, and your briskets. You'll have 3 pieces coming out of it. That's the breakdown. It's ready for retail.
The loin chops is one of our more popular lamb cuts. Once we've cut through the bone here, I can drive a knife all the way through to yield about 6 really nice loin chops. This is obviously a lamb loin chop, and this would be the equivalent of a T-bone steak or a porterhouse steak with beef. So this right here would be the equivalent of beef filet mignon. This would be the equivalent of a beef New York strip. A lot smaller, a lot smaller. This is a rib, so what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna chine the bone and remove this piece here to open it up, and then I'm gonna remove these feather bones on the back as well. But this is your basic rack of lamb. We use regenerative agriculture farming techniques that are over 150 years old. This is the way we used to do things. We're bringing that back. Without animal impact, our lands are gonna continue to turn to desert.
So we endeavor to be zero waste. We try very, very hard to think of ways to utilize the whole carcass, consistent with what nature does.
Get all these bagged up individually, get them sealed, so they're ready to actually be delivered.
Today, per capita consumption of lamb in this country is very, very low compared to other proteins. And I don't know why that is, and I think it's a shame. I think that food production needs to be local. When it's not local, it's served by big multinational corporations that probably don't have our best interest in mind.
All right, well, now that we've got everything sealed up, everything is ready to go to Chef Terry, so we're gonna get all of his stuff loaded into this cooler. So now we will just go on out the door and send it on his order on.
All right, let's see what we got from Will and Jenny from White Oak Pastures. Leg of lamb, looking beautiful. Oh, and then our favorite pieces here. Our weird meat. Looks like we got some kidneys and some hearts. Beautiful. That's exciting. All right, so we got our beautiful lamb hearts here. Let's take this and grill it up, see how it tastes. We like to play with our food a lot. Our motto is kind of eat weird meat. We definitely like to showcase those fun offcuts that most people don't know about or don't do, and it just kind of keeps us excited. All right, so we have some olive oil here. I have a very good feeling about this. You know what? Let's make it a little bit more interesting. We got some za'atar here. All the just flavors, that high heat, really close to the protein. Who doesn't like to play with fire, right? This will be our first eating lamb heart. We have some chanterelle mushrooms. This is our lamb jus right here. Frills, some beet, a little begonia. It's super clean. I mean, there's no gaminess whatsoever. It's a lot cleaner than any of the other hearts, you know, that I've had, for sure. This is delicious. When you go out to eat, you want to eat something that you typically don't cook at home. So this is the lamb leg here, and look at the beautiful fat on here. So these are some nice Aggi Dolce peppers that we got from Decimal Place Farm. So then we have this garlic puree that we're gonna kind of put in here. So we're gonna take our paste, our garlic paste with the chilies, and slather it up really good. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna hang it over our hearth over here. That's beautiful, look at that. What we wanna achieve is a really crispy outside, roasty and smoky, but yet a really soft and tender, juicy inside. Nice and dry, that's what we're looking for. We wanna kinda get that smoke on there, which you can definitely smell. So we don't want it sitting directly on there, we want airflow around it. So here's our lamb, we got nice roasted, look at this. And this is kind of how you typically see it, like cooked at around Easter time. So juicy, look at that. And then you get this liquid gold. And then of course, we're just gonna douse it. That's the piece right there. Okay. Still getting the smoke on it. You know, it's not too fatty, which is great. Excellent. Next we got the lamb neck here, which is really exciting. We're gonna season it with some of our house-made steak seasoning. It's just a little garlic, pepper, a little celery salt, Korean chili flake. We're gonna throw it on our egg over here because we wanna start high, and then we're gonna let this slow cook for about 2 hours. So our last thing is the lamb kidneys here. So what you wanna do is you wanna cut these things in half, salt, pepper. Fresh thyme, shallots, incredible, look at that. Oh, so we just wanna baste it, nice and brown, caramelize. We don't wanna burn those shallots, so we're gonna add a little white wine. Some fresh herbs. And we're gonna turn off the heat, we're gonna add our butter. We're gonna kind of emulsify that butter in. All right, how's this neck looking? So the neck, you know, we're not at that point to where it falls apart, you know, but we're all a little hungry. So we're just gonna, let's get some of the starting procedures of it, the bark, as we say. I think these crispy little bark pieces would be great on top of those kidneys. All right, so we have some grilled bread here. All right, let's give this a shot, huh? The best thing I've eaten so far. So you get the smoke from the neck and the crispiness of it. It's like the creamy, soft texture, delicious. What the Harris family does on their farm is incredible. So the amount of passion and love that they do in what they do, and then how do I utilize every single piece? Make it taste delicious and essentially excite people, you know? And I think the role of a chef is educating your consumer. You know, when you go out to eat, it's an experience. You want to experience something new. So if you have an opportunity to see and eat and try something that you've never tried in your life, I highly recommend it.
We're so much better off by having these ruminants out grazing and helping that biological process. Regenerative farming is conducive to the cycles of nature. Industrial farming breaks the cycles of nature. Everything benefits, everything grows, everything gets better. It's a business for me, but it's a business that benefits almost everyone.